Hey guys, so this is going to be a video response to a video that one of my friends Will made, and I will go ahead and link that video right here if you want to go watch it before you watch this. Basically in his video he talks about wanting to reach out to people and what it's like when you want to be closer friends with someone that you've met in real life or on the internet and you only get to see them like a few times a year at like Playlist or VidCon or like Summer in the City like conventions, and you don't really get to see them because they don't live where you live, and kind of how you go about being better friends with that person if you don't really get to talk to them in real life. And he kind of goes through his experiences talking about, you know, trial and error of like what has he done, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and at the end he kind of asks for advice as to what works for other people. And I have had a lot of trial and error with this as well. I think it's something that we can all kind of relate to, especially being internet people or being small YouTubers, and that we want to reach out and we want to be friends with other creators and other people that have the same interest as us, but kind of how do you go about that without coming on too strong or without being creepy or without kind of being too pushy. I kind of wanted to take a moment to talk about my experiences with that. I don't know how much advice I can give. I can give a little bit of advice, but I can definitely talk about what I do and what works for me and what I've kind of learned doesn't work for me. So I think the first and best example is probably my best friend Haley, and I will leave a link to her right here. So basically what happened with her is I put a like status thing on my Tumblr page saying that, hey, I'm moving to London and I literally know no one there. If any of you guys are from London, like hit me up so that we can be friends because I don't have any friends in London. Through some twist of fate, she saw it and she messaged me and she was like, hey, I promise I'm not being creepy, but I'm actually moving to London at the same time you are. We should be friends. And kind of through that, we slowly started talking and realized that we did actually have a lot in common, and we are really, really close friends now. And I think through that, my best advice is to kind of let it form naturally. You know, you aren't going to be best friends with a person overnight. You know, we slowly started talking to each other on Tumblr, and then we followed each other on Twitter, and then we Skyped for the first time. And then by the time I met her in real life for the first time, I already knew so much about her, and we had been friends for like 6 months. So we have been very, very lucky that we kind of found each other through that medium, and we have a lot in common, and we are very, very good friends. But we do only get to see each other a few times a year. I will say we work very, very hard at finding times to see each other and meet each other more than probably most people would, because we are like really good friends. But it is kind of in any friendship or in any relationship like that where it is mostly based in online communication, when you're basically always on Twitter or watching each other's videos, or you're texting or you're Skyping and you don't really get to interact with that person in real life. You have to work that much harder to be friends with that person, because it's kind of a balance in that you both have to really, really, really be invested to want to like stay in that relationship and stay in that friendship, because it's really easy to just not talk to that person or to forget or to not be as invested because you don't see them and they're not in your everyday life. The advice that I can give is if you want to be friends with somebody and you want to be closer with them, kind of the way to naturally make that happen is, I think honestly Twitter is the best situation for that for most people. I use Twitter a lot for my relationships and friendships that I build with other creators and other YouTubers, because anything that they tweet and I see, if I can make a response to it, I will. If I think that they're cool, I think that we have a lot in common and I want to be a closer friend with them, I'm gonna say, you know, oh, that's really cool, or oh, congratulations, or oh, that's awesome, or make a funny quip about it. Like, if you can respond to it, because they're gonna see that and it's gonna start a conversation where they respond to you, and then slowly over time they'll see your tweets and think about you and they'll start to respond to you as well. And I think that that's how a lot of my friendships with YouTubers has really started, in that there are creators that I really like their stuff and I've met them in real life at like Playlist or VidCon or wherever it is that I've been, and I don't want to lose that friendship, but I can't see them every day. And so I just kind of, whenever I see them tweeting, I'll tweet back. And eventually it gets to the point where there's quite a few people that it's like, hey, let me follow you on Facebook and then we can talk there. Or I'm gonna watch your videos and comment on your videos and let you know, like, hey, I'm here, I'm watched, and I was really interested in this. It sounds like a lot of work, but it really is. And I think that if you want to have those friendships and those relationships, you have to be willing to let that be enough. If you want those friendships in your life, it's kind of like, I've accepted that that's enough for me. Like, that's enough to get out of that friendship. in that I have these interactions with them and I consider them a friend, but they're not somebody I'm going to call at 3 in the morning crying, but it is somebody that I can talk to and laugh with and have a good time with, and then when I do see them in real life, it's just an extension of that. And so I think that that's probably the best way to kind of go about naturally, you know, start talking to them on Twitter, watch their videos and comment on their videos, and then maybe if it gets to a point where it's natural, you can private message them on Twitter, and then maybe move on to Facebook, and kind of that's more personal. When you kind of are friends with each other on Facebook, you see kind of more of their personal life. Instead of just the online life that they put forward. I think another thing that I kind of want to talk about here, and I know that this video has like no structure, I'm sorry, but I have had negative experiences, don't get me wrong. There has been a situation where it's like, you know, I've met somebody a few times in real life, exchanged, you know, comments with them, had conversations with them, and then, you know, you say, hey, do you want to hang out? Hey, do you want to do something? And then they're just like, no, not really, actually. And it kind of sucks and it hurts, and you try really hard not to be salty about it. But I think at the end of the day, you kind of have to realize that not everybody is going to be your friend, and you don't want everybody to be your friend. You would rather know, you know, it's not going to work out, you know, we can be acquaintances and that's cool and move on with our life, than try to force a friendship that you know isn't really working out or isn't really doing it for either of you, or is only somebody's half into it. If you are really, really trying to be friends with someone and you're just realizing that they're not responding to you, they're not engaging with you, they're not trying to be friends with you as much as you're being friends with them, I think it kind of at some point you have to realize that you are worth a lot more than that, and there are people who are gonna want to have those conversations with you and are gonna want to laugh with you and are gonna want to have conversations about whatever it is that you're feeling and are gonna want to form that relationship with you. And I think the faster that you can kind of realize when that's happening to you and that you're putting a lot more into the friendship than somebody else is, that maybe it's time to kind of back off and try to form a more lasting, equal friendship with someone else. You get to a point where if you try to force it too much, it's gonna feel forced, and that's not really the friendship that I think you're looking for. And so I think for me personally, it's just you try to have those conversations as often as you can, and you try to contribute something interesting to the conversation when they're having them, and slowly you'll see if that's a friendship that's meant to happen, they'll start responding to you and they'll start commenting on your things and they'll start engaging with you just as much as you engage with them. And then from there, naturally, a friendship just kind of starts to form. That's not to say that you can't just be like, hey, let's be friends, because that's exactly what Haley did and she's my best friend now. But I think in my experience, anytime that I've said, you know, hey, let's be friends, it's kind of come off very overbearing, and it always feels like I'm putting more into the friendship than the other person is. And so I've definitely gone the Twitter route of just commenting, hanging out, being really chill about things. And then as soon as they kind of start reciprocating, that's when you can start building a more baseline of a friendship. And so yeah, that's pretty much like the only advice that I can really give you. I'm not sure how long I've been talking. I'm sorry if this video is forever and a day long, but I hope that this was helpful for someone. I know it was definitely fun for me to sit and kind of talk about it and talk things out, kind of about my way that I go about things and my friendships. I think it's always good to kind of be self-reflective about that. If you have any questions or any comments about anything that I said, please leave a comment below and I will respond to everyone, I promise. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye!